stream up.
Get everybody to start populating in there.
Yeah.
As we go live across YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, many social media platforms to share the war.
Love it.
We are resilient. Okay, now it's going live. I'm just checking my YouTube real quick.
Just got the alert on the phone. It says LinkedIn is good and YouTube is good.
Do we have the LinkedIn right, Nick? I don't know. I got to make sure it doesn't say 4 o'clock again.
Check.
Go to Oscar Mike Radio.
Good on my end now.
All right. Oh yeah, there we are.
Perfect.
Got people checking
Looking
in.
good, gentlemen.
All right. It is March 15th, 2 days before St. Patrick's Day. And I am joined by Michael Geary, founder and executive director of Hellfish Haven, Army veteran. My name is Travis, host of Oscar Mike Radio and Marine Corps veteran. And this is W.A.R. We Are Resilient. And Michael cooked up a special guest for us tonight. Michael, I'll let you introduce our guest.
All right. I don't know if you guys can see the shirt tonight, but I am representing with the Veterans Upward Bound program, which I took part of a couple years back. And through Veterans Upward Bound, I met Nick. Nick, would you like to introduce yourself, your job position, and a little brief synopsis on what Veteran Upward Bound is?
Yeah, for sure. So hey, everyone, my name is Nick Charette. I am the program director of Veterans Upward Bound at Suffolk University. And the short and sweet version of what we do at Veterans Upward Bound is prepare veterans for post-secondary education, regardless of, whatever they need. If they need assistance exploring their VA education benefits, comparing and contrasting their GI Bill versus voc rehab, if they require some tutoring prior to enrolling, whatever they need prior to enrolling, we provide to them free of charge.
Nice. And how's that work for, the veteran who gets out and doesn't know what his GI Bill status is like?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great place to start. It's pretty common, especially now. Like if we think about a veteran who's separating, let's say they, just got out February 2023. There's a pretty good chance that veteran is going to be, eligible for up to 3 different VA education benefits. There's a good chance that when they got to basic training, they elected to pay into the Montgomery GI Bill, which I'm sure most of us remember is that $100 deduction per month for 12 months when you first enlist. By virtue, of when they are separating from the military, they're also eligible for the post 9/11 GI Bill. And then additionally, as is pretty common with us veterans, there's probably, a decent amount of veterans who are going to have a service-connected disability through the VA, which would make them eligible for a program called Veterans Readiness and Employment, more commonly known as voc rehab. So it can be, pretty confusing for veterans to decipher, what's the best benefit for me to use? Can I use multiple benefits at different times? What order should I use them in? All that stuff. And a big part of what we do is help veterans understand their individual situation based on their service, and choose the benefit that is right for them and their education goals.
Now, one thing that I know got updated recently was you no longer need to use your post 9/11 to do VR&E voc rehab. And with that, if you had previously used your post 9/11 GI Bill for voc rehab, you can make a call to Buffalo and they will give you your eligibility back for post 9/11 GI Bill because VR&E no longer will take those eligibility months away from you.
Yeah, that's correct. I think it was summer 2020 or 21. I want to say 21. That a lot of us who work in higher education for veterans got that notice that no longer would using voc rehab and getting that post 9/11 rate deduct from your post 9/11 GI Bill. Um, so if there's veterans now who have their service connected disability and also have some post 9/11 GI Bill entitlement remaining, whether it's they got an expiration date on it or not based on when they separated, you can apply for, use voc rehab, get paid that post 9/11 GI Bill rate, but not even deduct from your post 9/11 GI Bill, which is a pretty incredible change that the VA did, and I think it was a really needed change because veterans with service connected disabilities need to be receiving these services from the VA and be getting that priority, and in addition, allowing them to get that higher post 9/11 monthly housing allowance really allows veterans to financially be secure while they're focused on their education. And Mike, you hit it on the head with them retroactively instituting those post 9/11 GI Bill months. I have heard some people have not seen that, like it's not an automatic thing. So if that's the case, I'd encourage anyone to reach out to myself, any other veterans upward bound around the country. If you're tuning in different places, whatever it is, just get in touch with someone and make sure that those benefits are getting reinstituted to you.
Now, are you still in school yourself? Are you out of school? How's that looking for you right now?
So I actually just finished my master's this past December, which was a long road, but we got it done. GI Bill did me pretty good. So it's something I don't really like talking about myself, but what I do like to tell other vets is, if you're someone looking to use your education benefits, whether you have a firm grasp on it or you really don't understand how they work, I'd encourage you to reach out because I've lived it, and I love just working with vets to make sure that they're accessing the benefits that changed me and my family's lives. So they're incredible benefits, and I want to make sure everyone who's eligible for them is tapping into them and getting what they earned by their service.
So forgive me, this might be a completely noob question.
Sure.
But like as we were talking about before we got live, what about the veteran who didn't use all his GI Bill? Is that gone forever?
Well, a lot of it depends. If we're talking like Montgomery and post 9/11 GI Bill, a lot of it does depend on when the veteran separated. So if we're talking Montgomery GI Bill, unfortunately, that has a 10-year expiration date, and that is what it is. So if it's March 15th, 2023, and you separated more than 10 years ago, that's gone. Post 9/11 GI Bill, there were some changes that in 2017 they implemented the Forever GI Bill, which was an amendment to the post 9/11, which essentially, right or wrong, drew a line in the sand for veterans based on when you separated. So if you separated January 1st, 2013 or later, your post 9/11 GI Bill does not have an expiration date. However, if you're on the other side of that line, December 31st, 2012 and before, the VA is still holding you to a 15-year expiration date, which I definitely disagree with, but that is what it is. But for veterans in that situation, if they have a service-connected disability, I would definitely encourage them to look into Chapter 31, voc rehab, because while you may not be entitled to some of the more lucrative stipends that the post 9/11 GI Bill will offer, it could still pay for your entire education and pay you a stipend, per month to go to school.
And also with the voc rehab, anything that you need for the education program, printer, laptops, if you're going to a specialized school for photography or something like that, the equipment needed for the classes and the courses, as long as you work with your counselor for voc rehab, and you sit down and you fully explain everything that you need for that course, voc rehab, sometimes you have to request once or twice, but usually fulfill the request for whatever study materials you need or materials for the course.
Yeah, it's that's 100% true, Mike. Because we actually have a veteran who went through our program. She took advantage of everything we had to offer, and she ended up getting approved for voc rehab. and she went to nursing school. And what's great about it, like you just said, anything you need, so scrubs, um, you know, any sort of lab stuff for like any bio classes, which is something that I think sets it apart from things like the post 9/11 GI Bill, where you're not capped at a stipend of $1,000 per year or anything like that. If your school or your training location says you need it, it's paid for. But like you alluded to, sometimes you do need to stay on top of the counselors. But eventually you will get every single supply, anything that you need for that program.
And, with your program, is it only post 9/11 vets? Is it all vets that are welcome at Veterans Upper Bound?
So we don't discriminate against any error or anything like that. If you were to be a fly on the wall on our academic courses that kicked off 2 weeks ago, you'd see Vietnam vets, Gulf War, post 9/11. Literally you'll see individuals who are drafted into Vietnam alongside learning the basics of math again with a veteran who was born like in 2000. Like they literally joined at 18 and just got out. So we really run the gamut. We serve veterans of all eras, all branches, all that good stuff.
Now, if they go through the program through you at Suffolk, do they have to go to Suffolk afterwards, or can they go anywhere? Do you advise them on things like that?
Yeah, so I think what's a great thing about our program is that while we are hosted at Suffolk University, I like to kind of tell partners that we kind of, so to say, rent space at Suffolk. Being a Department of Education grant, our federal regulation requires us to help veterans throughout our entire coverage area go to school or on-job training, apprenticeship, whatever it is that they want to do at the location of their choice. So while we do have some vets who go through our program and end up enrolling at Suffolk, we have a lot of vets that we help go to places like Bunker Hill Community College, UMass, anywhere that they want to go, we help them go. Like I did go to Suffolk, so if a veteran does ask me how it was for me, I'll let them know it was a great institution. It served me well, but I don't push veterans in any way. I want them to go where they're comfortable and what fits, their needs, fits their needs best.
One thing that came to mind, Nick, as Michael was talking to you, is the question I get asked sometimes: what about trade schools? What about like a welding school or a heavy equipment operator or electrician's course? There's some. It seems like there's some differences, or in some cases, it's outright denied. Maybe that's just as anecdotal, but that's kind of my understanding. Is the rules are very different.
So the rules are different in the way things pay out and whatnot. And the short answer is, you can use it at these schools. I think what usually I see veterans run into is that they're trying to use their benefit at a place that may have just been like, hey, you can use your GI Bill here. We'll take the VA's money, but they're not approved as a training site by the VA, which is huge. So an easy way for you to figure out places that are already approved, like let's say you wanted to go be a welder, you could go on WEAMS, which I don't even remember what that acronym stands for, but it's a list of every single VA approved training site. And from there, you'll be able to see what the VA is currently approving. And usually, like I said, the issue I see is that veterans are trying to use their benefits at a place, on-job training site, trade school, that just is not approved. They don't have any sort of contract with the VA, so it's just not going to happen until that host institution goes through the process of getting approved. On the other hand, when I do meet vets who tell me they want to be an electrician or anything like that, or they want to go learn some, any sort of trade stuff, I usually try and in the Boston area hook them up with places like the Peterson School, which is great with VA benefits, North Bennett Street School in the north end of Boston, which is set up for VA benefits. And if they have, they want to do something that's maybe a little more obscure or niche, we can look through WEAMS and try and find something that fits their goals.
So again, I am Travis Parrington, Marine Corps veteran, host of Oscar Mike Radio, joined by my co-host Michael Geary, Army veteran, founder and executive director of Hellfish Haven, and we are W.A.R. We are resilient. It's Wednesday night, and I'm here with Nick Charette. Did I get that right, Nick?
Yes, you did.
Or something's working right today. All right. And, he's with Upright.
Hey, hello, Barry.
Awesome.
Get some guys that I served with jumping on here. Craig and Barry, thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Are these more MPs, Mike?
They are.
Nice.
Nick was also an MP.
I'm like, Mike, where are all these are just all MPs? Like, WTF, dude? I mean, is it all you know are MPs? I'm like, oh my God, I'm having flashbacks to Yuma getting pulled over by a PFC with a badge, griping about my motorcycle. I mean, it's crazy. And so, we are resilient, Nick, means that, we know that sometimes we have problems. We know sometimes we have challenges, but it's finding ways to work through them together and giving each other support and resources to help move through stuff. And you're part of that tonight. What's it been like when you help a veteran out and they start, getting their educational future laid out for them?
Well, I mean, personally, I think, what I see is very rewarding to see other veterans accessing the benefits that, can help change their life, like the way that they changed mine. We truly do. And I sometimes think people think it's like hyperbole or I'm exaggerating, but veterans do have access to the best education benefits like in the world. Like, where else are you going to be able to go, especially if we're just talking, the States? Where else, what other program is going to pay all of your tuition at any school, and also pay you a living stipend that's based on cost of living of your zip code, and then also pay for all of your books and supplies? Generally, obviously, if you're like a nurse using the post 9/11 GI Bill, you may do a little bit out of pocket, but overall, the benefits are, incredible. So it's really rewarding to see veterans access these benefits that change our lives.
Now, with the program, I know you guys do things outside of the classroom as well, and like the network and the peer group that you guys have developed there. I've gone to a couple of events with you guys, so I'm a little biased, and I've enjoyed going out and that aspect of it all, because I feel like you're in the classroom with these people learning, and you get to know people just a little bit, but like being able to go out and socialize with them afterwards, like it makes you feel more comfortable in the classroom to to speak up, to talk, and go back and forth. And can you just touch a little bit on that aspect of Veterans Up Abound?
Yeah. So you just mentioned the outings that we do. Before I go into that, I think it's worth mentioning that a silver lining of COVID for us, excuse me, was prior we weren't really allowed to do things online. It's just the university didn't let us, and the Department of Ed didn't let us. When we were able to go online, we were able to reach a lot more veterans. Like Mike, as you know, we're in downtown Boston. So if a vet lives in Worcester, Haverhill, Brockton, getting to downtown Boston is just not going to happen. So we've been able to reach a lot more veterans. But on the other side, it's been difficult sometimes to kind of form that community camaraderie through Zoom. It's kind of hard to just be looking at people's faces on a screen like that, and never get to see them in person. So we've been doing these cultural outings that usually have some sort of educational piece tied to it. Like, as you mentioned, we recently went to the Boston Space Exhibit and looked at all those like authentic NASA items and all that stuff, learned some NASA history. Go to the Museum of Science, Museum of Fine Arts, Aquarium, went to Fenway Park last year. But I think that they have a really great benefit of not only learning something, like as every time I go to them, I know I learn something new wherever we're at, but also, like you said, it kind of gives you that confidence of being with other veterans to, be able to raise your hand in class, ask questions. And additionally, being able to meet Veterans Upward Bound alum, like we had an individual who came to the space exhibit with us last week. I think it was last week, right? And he actually went through our program, enrolled at Bunker Hill, and is about to finish his associates and move on to a 4-year program. And for the veterans who went with us, to see a veteran who went through our program access his benefits and then now is knocking it out of the park in higher education, it's giving them the confidence to be able to be like, hey, I can do this too.
Hang on 1 second.
Do you mind if I answer a question that's in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the New Jersey VUB,
Yeah.
is that Gotcha.
So, Veterans Upward Bound, a little bit more background info. We are a Department of Education grant-funded program, and there's about 60 of us around the country. So our program at Suffolk University in Boston serves almost all of Eastern Mass and then the city of Worcester. If you're interested in reaching out to a local Veterans Upward Bound, I could find the link in a second and post it here, or you could reach out to me and we can get you hooked up with them if you're interested. And then occasionally there's times where there's not a Veterans Upward Bound that serves your, where you live. If that's the case, I encourage you to still reach out to me because I'll still, do what I can for you. Because, I don't believe in turning veterans away because they live in the wrong, state or anything like that. So I could definitely find that info and toss it in the chat here.
Yeah, just put in the chat and we'll see what happens. This is one of the cool things about WAR is, we've had people from all across the nation check in and ask questions. So that's what we want.
Now with the VUB program, what is it like for guys that have been out of school for 10, 15 years? Is it calculus that you're going into? Is it English 400 level? Is ancient literature? What type of courses are provided for the person that wants to return to school but is fearful that their education isn't ready for it?
Yeah. So what's great about our program is we offer 8 to 10 week semesters per year. We offer a bunch of courses, but I like to focus on the math and the English/reading and writing aspect because it really is the academic foundation that you need, regardless of what kind of program you're going into. And the courses they're truly a refresher. And they cover everything that a local community college or state university would want you to know upon enrolling and being at that college level, so to say. For example, our pre-college math course that we offer over 10 weeks starts with arithmetic, moves on to things like geometry, fractions, pre-algebra, and it's going to be everything that you're going to see on a college entrance exam where they're going to grade it and place you into the appropriate course. Same thing with the reading and writing. It's the same type of deal. And what's great about it is, like I said, you're given the opportunity to relearn every single academic skill that you would need to enroll in college, but you're not limited in taking our courses just one time and you're out the door. If you're a veteran who truly wants to rebuild that skill and go, hey Nick, I did the math and I think I did good on XYZ, but I might want to focus a little more on this. Maybe we can, I can enroll in the course again, and so make sure I'm shoring up that skill. You have the opportunity to do that as well. So that was a great question because we do have a lot of vets who may have exited active duty, went straight into the workforce, and maybe want to change careers for a personal reason or maybe due to their service-connected disabilities interfering with work. We have the tools to help prepare you for college no matter what level academically that you're at.
And now, the last flyer you shared with us had mention of languages, and like the availability of that for people to study.
Yeah. So what we used to, and I think maybe when you went through the program, like I think that we had like a specific language. I believe that our previous directors would poll the class and what do we want to learn? Spanish, what have you. We've actually migrated to a platform called Transparent Language, which is an online learning platform that has over 65 languages. So, I've had veterans who wanted to learn Arabic, Spanish, German, what have you. And we have the ability to hook them up with an account that's self-paced so that they can learn that, on their own time or at their own pace, I should say. And I just really quickly, I just put the link to Department of Education. It should bring up a list of awards, which that's what they call our grants. So this should open up an Excel file with about 60 different locations. So if there's one in your area and you want to get in contact with them, you can reach out to me. I can do a warm handoff. And if not, I'll still more than happy to work with you on, what we offer as a program.
All right, put it right in the chat. You can check it out, and for those people out of state or in different parts of the country trying to find similar, we got it right here for you.
All right, so we've hit, financial assistance, either through GI Bill, Voc Rehab. Is there any other resources available for students if they're, they need help and assistance, purchasing textbooks and things like that?
So as far as like purchasing textbooks and whatnot, aside from helping you, budget for and plan for what either your GI Bill stipend is or what Book Rehab will pay for, that's kind of the extent of that. But you did mention something else that we do offer. We do financial literacy workshops 3 times per year, and they're generally 3-part courses. So like in the spring, summer, and fall, it'll be like 3 consecutive Fridays where we have our financial literacy coach who we hire come in and talk about things like basic budgeting, retirement, credit building, debt payoff methods, all these good things that regardless of, where you're at in your own, financial journey, they're all great things to touch on, learn, and, put to use.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Just want to give a quick shout out to Andrew Farr in Tennessee, Marine Corps veteran, involved at the state level with the VFW in Tennessee. Andrew, thank you for checking us out. Appreciate it. So, like Nick, we get nationwide on this. It's just a rolling wave of energy and thunder.
It's excellent.
And now, the financial literacy, I feel like that's such an important thing for guys to have because, it's a life skill that, has been overlooked by, secondary education and these, when you do your, your TAP or your transition out of the military, a lot of times you're either burnt out from service or, you've already had to do something for, CIF intern and stuff. And then you go to the course afterwards and, you're exhausted. You're not really picking up everything. So it is good to have that opportunity outside of your transition to be able to learn this material.
I try and get also just, full disclosure, when veterans enroll in our program, they're not required to do everything we offer. As Mike, they don't need to take every course. They don't need to go to financial literacy. But I do try and get every veteran in the program to financial literacy because there often are times where, we get a veteran hooked up with their GI Bill. They got accepted to school and they know they got this sweet, MHA or BAH coming in every month. And unfortunately, I feel like sometimes the veterans don't realize you're not getting paid housing allowance or your Voc Rehab stipend when you're not in school. So budgeting it properly to make it last in the months you're not enrolled is really huge. And it's something, I try and harp on to every single veteran that comes through the program is let's plan. Like you're getting some generous allowances, but let's make sure we use them right and make sure that they last you. So you're able to pay up, afford your cost of living in whatever area you're in and focus on school.
That is one thing I kind of wanted to touch on, with the housing allowance and assistance with the cost of living in this state being what it is. Does it really go that far? Because, rents have skyrocketed in the last 3 years. Groceries have certainly skyrocketed. And one of the concerns for a lot of veterans, including non-veterans, is how am I going to live while I'm in school? It's a very stressful time. And I don't know what the right answer is.
Well, one thing I can say about that is if you are a veteran using your post 9/11 GI Bill or Voc Rehab with your post 9/11 GI Bill, there is some good news on the way. Finally, the post 9/11 GI Bill housing allowance for a lot of cost of living areas around the country, including Boston, is going up. So I know Boston's housing allowance is going from like $30.75 per month up to like $4,200. So that's nice. But in the meantime, it doesn't do a lot for vets. It's long overdue, to be honest with you. I wish that they didn't wait until, 3 years into a pandemic when housing, costs and rent prices have skyrocketed. But they haven't seemingly addressed it where starting in August, post 9/11 GI Bill gets a big bump. And if you're already using Voc Rehab at that GI Bill rate, it actually started for you in January. So
Awesome. Couple things. Craig Chapman asked Mikey, does Hellfish Haven have any upcoming events? Trophy King Online.
We have a couple of things that we're finalizing planning with right now. Hellfish Haven will be going out on tour, going to reach out to different legions, VFWs, any veteran organization that's out there that would like to host a game night and a morning like coffee, chess, and cards, and collaboration. Just a morning event for veterans to come in, chat, play cards, play chess, keep the mind engaged, and have a good conversation in the morning. That'll be available, and then in the evening, planning on having more of the games open for like a family fun event where you can not just bring the veteran in, but the family members, whether they're members of the auxiliary or not, or the kids can come in, play the games, get the education material that we have at the Haven, and we're going to be, like I said, going on tour, so to say. Where I know one of the locations that we're looking at right now to finalize is Chelmsford, and we'll be talking with a few other posts as people request, our support. Where we're going to go out there and take care of it.
Cool. And Barry Estevez asks, is Voc Rehab affected by compensation and retirement? That's a good question.
That is a great question. No, Voc Rehab, like the stipend that you get on top of your disability payment or retirement pay, any of that is like it's just on top of. Same thing with your GI Bill, and also same thing for other programs that you can do while using the GI Bill or Voc Rehab, such as VA work study. Anything that you get from the education and training benefits is not going to affect the compensation that you're already receiving from the VA or your military retirement.
I'll definitely keep North Attleboro in mind there, Craig. I grew up in Foxborough, so that's my area. I'm thinking, Nick, aren't you down there too?
I'm in Rockland. I'm from Braintree, but I'm slowly just moving further and further from the city.
Oh, you're just a hop, skip, and a jump from me.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm in the next town over.
Was it Abington?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, right down the road.
Yeah.
See, another connection right there. We got a connection last week too. The veteran service officer for Saugus was on, and I was like, "Come, send an email." And I was like, "I'm gonna come by instead."
Travis, if you're ever at Players Bar and Grill, I walk there all the time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
That's
See, it's a small
a
world.
great aspect of this program is being able to connect with fellow vets and be able to to share these things and these areas to go. That it's not just focused on a group setting or going in a certain area or a YMCA or a church or whatever for a peer support group. You're actually going in here with us, and you jumped on live with us to share what you're able to do with Veterans Upward Bound, and beyond that, how you've taken it from inside the classroom to go outside the classroom, and then added the financial literacy courses, created a whole environment of care and support that we do talk about part of that whole health aspect of mental health, making the physical health better, and having the social support networks and things like that. And I do think that Veterans Upward Bound is a good place for that, even if you don't have a goal of getting a degree. I know there's a couple guys that were in the program with me that were there just as lifelong learners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so being a pre-college program, we obviously try and help you get there, but a lot of times vets come in and they're like, listen, I don't know if it's in the cards for me. Like, I don't know if I'm going to end up enrolling, but I want to try it out. I want to keep learning, and then maybe someday I end up going, or maybe not, whatever it is. All the services that we have, free to veterans. So, I encourage any veteran who's interested in learning to reach out to their local Veterans Upward Bound, or reach out to me. I can, get you in touch with them.
That's really amazing. I mean, because a lot of veterans are like, hey, I've gotten a little older. I've got other things going on. Is it really in the cards for me to go back to school? And, I've been there myself. It's like, do I saddle up and, do the school grind at my age? Is it really worth it?
Sure.
I don't know. I can't answer that question for myself, much less for somebody else. But, knowing the resources is there is certainly a motivator to at least see what you can do.
We also have vets who, like you just mentioned, like Vets come in and they're like, listen, I think I want to do this. Maybe they're thinking about a career change, or maybe they're, just living off VA disability, and, they're trying to figure out what it is. And they think maybe this is in the cards, education that is. And then they enroll in some courses with us, and 2 to 3 weeks in, they're like, Nick, this isn't for me. I realize it's not. That's totally cool. And what I think is great about that is that by doing it with us, it's tuition free. All the books and supplies are free, and it's low risk. If you decide it's not for you, you didn't go and take out a student loan. You didn't go and use your GI Bill. You didn't go all the way through the voc rehab process and then realize this isn't for me. So I think it's a great place for veterans to start to dip their toes in and be like, hey, let me see if this is something that's in the cards for me.
So there's a cushion there.
Absolutely. We do, I don't say routinely, but we do often have vets who are like, Nick, I think I want to get a bachelor's degree. And then they take a math course and they're like, you know what? I think I just would rather go to a trade school and work with my hands because, this kind of stuff isn't for me. And that's totally cool. And I'm happy that our program could have provided them with that insight about themselves. And they're like, oh, maybe I don't want to sit in a class, or maybe I want to go do something.
Yeah.
Like, I know for me, it had been 10 years and a few months from the time I got my associate's degree to the time I went through Veterans Upward Bound, because I hadn't remembered things like, how to properly cite, a source in a paper, or like, the proper style of writing, and like how to do footnotes, and like I couldn't remember any of that stuff. And I was like, I'm going to be going in as a junior and, in my bachelor's degree, and I don't know the stuff that a freshman should know. So I feel like that's another great, thing about Upward Bound, is that ability to catch up to where you need to be.
Absolutely. I think you nailed it on the head. It's the situation you just mentioned is pretty common. Veterans come in with like their joint service transcript, and maybe they have like 30 to 60 military credits that a school is like, yeah, we'll take that, and you're coming in as a junior. But if you don't have that academic foundation built, it's going to be a tough time. So starting with us is great. And there's another scenario I like to bring up too. We've had veterans come to us with in mind what I just said. Let me go to VUB while I'm waiting to start school and see how it goes. And they come in and they're like, oh, I remember all this math. I'm actually pretty good at reading and writing and citing stuff. And they're like, I'm ready. And it's just a confidence booster in and of itself. Regardless of what it is, the program's a great measuring stick to see where you're at and see if, this path is right for you.
So I got a question here, Mike.
Yes, a couple right off the top. Hidden Battles, they're right on the border there in Lowell. They've got contacts on both sides. Swim with a Mission, I believe it's swam.org, is a great resource that is very connected with Hidden Battles. And Swim with a Mission does a lot of good work up in New Hampshire for the veteran nonprofit world. Operation Delta Dog, they are headquarters is in, I believe, Chelmsford, they operate out of, but the training facility is in Hollis, New Hampshire. So they are part of that network too. And unlike Massachusetts, where you have a VSO for every town, there's only VSOs regionally up in New Hampshire. So they don't have the way to talk with people like we do up here. But I can definitely get you connected into the guys that are up there in New Hampshire, and get you cross-referenced over with those guys to increase your service area.
Just Nick, one quick one.
Sure.
Suffolk is, because I work in downtown Boston. Suffolk's primarily a law school, right?
It's definitely what we're known for. Whenever I tell people, it's like, oh, I just finished my degree there. They're like, oh, law? I'm like, no. We do have the law school, which is definitely what we're most known for. I know a lot of like local politicians gone through there and got their JD there. But we also have the College of Arts and Sciences for like your liberal arts degree and some science degrees. And then also the Sawyer Business School for anything business related.
And is there a veterans program at Suffolk that works with you guys?
Yeah, so we have, like most schools, we have a traditional veteran rep. Her name is Alex Patterson. The reason for that we don't fill that void is because we serve all of Massachusetts and we serve veterans throughout the state and not just Suffolk ones. Suffolk, still has to have someone who specifically is just dedicated to the veterans enrolled there. But she is great, and we work closely with her as well. Do you
I
mind
know
if
when
I
I've
plug
been there, they
for us?
invited us.
Sorry, I think I talked over you.
Go ahead, you go first.
I was going to just say there's one other service that we have that's new, and I think I might have talked to you about, Mike. But we recently re-implemented our tutoring program, which is in addition to the academic course refreshers that we've talked about a little bit. The reason we implemented this tutoring program is with our academic refreshers then being 8 to 10 weeks and really running the gamut of, like in math, arithmetic through algebra. It's a lot of content, and some veterans may find I don't need all of that. I just need this. I just need fractions. I just need exponents, whatever it is. So we've been in November. We were able to repartner with Suffolk and utilize our college, our Center for Learning and Academic Success that does tutoring for Suffolk undergrads. And essentially, what we now have the ability to do is if a veteran has a specific area in math, reading, and writing that they need to work on, we can send them to Suffolk University tutors to help address that specific academic need. And I think it's a really great program that we implemented. The feedback has been awesome. And I just like it because if we have a vet, like I said, who doesn't have the time to sit through a 10-week course or just doesn't want to because they know they only need to look at algebra, we can send them to a tutor to work just on that and have that individual one-on-one support.
Now, do they come into the office there? I know you guys have got like a little lounge area set up there at Suffolk. Do they come in there for the tutoring, or are they able to do it online?
So it's up to the veteran. If it's between normal business hours, 9 to 5, they can come on campus. And I just walk them to the tutoring center, which is one floor above us, and bring them there. And then between 9 and 10 p.m., veterans can do online tutoring on Zoom. So, if the veteran can't make it to downtown, the tutoring services are still available to you.
And do you guys host any events there locally at the lounge, or like do you guys come in there to do their homework in between courses? Are they welcome for that as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have encourage all veterans to not only use our space when they're in a class. Like let's say we're having a class and they wanted to stay after and do homework. Our lounge is open, 9 to 5, to come and do your homework, study, what have you. What I think is great is we also have our student veteran workers, VA work studies in the office who are enrolled at Suffolk currently, and being able to network with other veterans who are kind of on that path that you're on, but maybe just a few steps ahead, already enrolled in college, is great to be able to, again, be like, hey, like that's where I'm going to be headed. I see other veterans. I see myself in that veteran who's studying at Suffolk. So to be able to connect with them, I think is a great added benefit of coming in and using our space as well.
I know the veterans alumni group from Suffolk had invited us to one of their events that they had, and said, everybody that was, involved at the VUB there was welcome to, partake and to be, networking with their veterans alumni group from Suffolk and the active group.
Yeah, and also you might be getting an email soon about a similar thing where every year before graduation, our veteran rep Alex throws together a veteran-specific stole ceremony where VUB, Suffolk vets, Suffolk alumni, whatever, can come in and celebrate veterans graduating. So I'm going to be graduating, Mike. If you want to come and see me get my stole put on me this year.
Absolutely,
That's pretty cool.
I mean, that's one of the best things about this is the support network that it does create, and because it does, everything that you read now says that men especially have trouble making friends as they're older, and as you get older you have less people around, and like it is to have these different outlets and these different you have the education, but you also have the community aspect of it, and the peer one-on-one with the tutoring, and like it's come a long way from being, hey, you've got 4 courses, English, science, math, and a language, if you guys vote on it, to all these different options that are available now for guys and girls to be able to take. And, that tutoring, I feel like, would have been good for a couple of the guys that were in the class with us,
Yeah.
where they did get kind of stuck on a chapter. And, you do start to fall behind in that 10-week course if you're stuck there. And that's definitely a huge asset to be able to have. And again, this is all, free of charge to the veteran.
Correct. Yeah, free of charge to veterans. And I like that you brought that up too, because I do like to let people know, like, our program has come a long way. When myself and my associate director took over, like you just mentioned, it was kind of just 4 courses, and then you go to college. You could, we'll kind of help you figure it out, but we've really put to use every single service that we're, allowed to per the federal regulations. And I like what you said about, all these other things and building that community, because a sense of belonging as a student veteran is really important too. We know we belong when we're on active duty, when we're with our brothers and sisters and, serving day to day, but getting out and feeling like the old guy or gal in class, 10 years older with all these different life experiences can be tough. And I think, making sure that we're all connected with other student veterans who are in the same spot as us, networking with veterans who may be a few steps ahead, what have you, they've been through it, been in your seat, is huge for, veteran success and education.
So that way guys aren't feeling like Billy Madison out there, doing the glue and the finger painting. So, it does. It's tough at times when you're sitting in a class and, for me, I'm going to be 40 at the end of the year, and sitting in a class with a bunch of, 19 and 20-year-olds, and they're just going a mile a minute on whatever they got focused on, and your world's completely different because, being a dad and have a full-time job and all these different things that affect you. It is good to have that peer network of veterans to be able to talk with and, going through the same issues. And that's definitely, one of the things that we enjoy here at W.A.R. We are resilient, and being able to have that network availability and to have those people to talk to,
Mhm.
that are going through the similar things, so that that you aren't alone out there.
Absolutely.
Got a question here from Barry. Is Voc Rehab only for the vet or family, Nick?
So Voc Rehab, Chapter 31, benefits are only for the veteran. However, if you're a veteran who is considered permanent and totally disabled due to a disability recognized by the VA, your dependents, spouse, or children could actually use a program called Chapter 35, which is the I always botch the name because I don't use it too much. It's essentially, if you are permanent and totally disabled, your dependents, spouse, or children can go to school and get most of it paid for. I can find that exact program for you right now. It's a survivor and dependents benefit program.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the link right now. I'm going to paste it right here in the chat
Awesome.
so everybody can see it. Yep. I got your back.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Now, all this information tonight, is this available on the website that you guys have, or Facebook? What's the best way for folks to find you guys after tonight?
I would say the best way to find us and just see an overview of everything I've blabbed on about is vubma.com, which I see has already been put in the chat. And then additionally, we do have a Facebook. It's Veterans Upward Bound MA. Those are the best ways. And then additionally, I always just encourage vets, like, if you don't want to go, if it just sounds good to you and you want to, get going, I could throw my email and my phone number in the chat. It's a direct line to me. I'm pretty good about responding and, setting up, appointments to see what we can do for you and get going.
I've got the Facebook link for Veterans Upward Bound MA in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Just click on that and like and follow. I just did. I'm going to paste Nick's. Well, I was going to paste. Now I'm going to paste. Here's his email.
Thank you.
And phone number, 617-725-4139. 617-725-4139. Nick will get right to you.
I will. I carry that thing on me at all times. It's that goes to my office and cell phone, so I'm pretty responsive.
Nice. we're winding down here. Time flies when we're having fun. It's been a blast, and I've learned so much. But I guess just to kind of revisit something, what do you say to the veteran who's like, you know what, this college thing is a tall mountain to climb. I just don't think, I even want to. I'm like, this sounds good. I might be smart enough, but how do you get over that? Because it's not just that. It's okay. I've got children now. I'm married. I've got games to go to. I need to help my wife out around the house and do house stuff. How do I find not only the time but the energy to devote for class? Because when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you might think you're busy, but
You know,
they haven't seen anything yet.
yeah.
So how do you tell that person that yeah, you got this, just here's how you take the first bite?
So that is pretty common too. I just tell veterans baby steps. Specifically
Yeah.
with our program, we don't have a time limit. Um, we have vets that have been in the program for 7, 8 years, and they are just slowly I'm chipping away, and when I'm ready, I'm going to school. And then on the other hand, we have vets who stay with us for 1, 2 months, everything in between. So there's no predetermined path. Every single veteran or just person in general, student, education journey is individual to them. You don't need to finish a bachelor's degree in 4 years like a lot of, like you just said, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds do. It could take you 7, 8 years. That's fine. You don't need to go to school gung ho, 18 credits, busting your hump every night. Like if you have your family, we can help you find a school that fits you and is more accommodating to students like that. Like for example, Suffolk might not be happy me saying this, but if you're a veteran who, really wants to take it a little slower, Suffolk wouldn't be a great place for you because there's not as many options with courses. Maybe a school like SNHU, which is built around, they have a lot of programs for adult learners that have really flexible times, really flexible schedules, a lot more offerings to fit your schedule. Um, we can help you find that. You don't need to fit into some, predetermined route for college. Whatever you need to do to get it done, what that looks like is totally fine.
Awesome. And she vets it. Althea Williams, Army veteran out of Dallas, checking in. Dallas, Texas, Nick. I mean, you're just going coast to coast here. It's pretty awesome. She checks in and says hello. Mike, we got to get her on. She has a great story. You'd like to talk with her. But we are resilient. We are war. And we stay here very unapologetically. F the stigma. And I think that's kind of what I'm getting out of this conversation is, there's a stigma that we're not smart enough, that there's no options available. And that's just simply just not true. I mean, if there's a will, you're going to find a way, Nick, it sounds like.
100%. Nailed it.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
Whatever barriers they've got, it sounds like you guys have a plan to get around it. Like you said, non-traditional learners, bachelor's, trades, whether, you're getting ready for college, you want career guidance, you guys got that financial literacy course, the peer support, and just being able to go over these different programs through the GI Bill or voc rehab or, what benefits are out there. It really is a total comprehensive, program that you guys have over there. And, we are appreciative that you guys run that. And, definitely we'll be sending folks, there in the future.
Absolutely. And I guess the last thing I would say is I think you just nailed it too on the head, Mike, is that we tailor the program to the veteran. Some vets just want to talk to us about their benefits and compare them. Some want to do tutoring. Some want to do some financial literacy. Some want to do all of it. Whatever you need to help prepare you for higher education on your time, that's what we're here for.
That's awesome. So again, I'm going to paste the link into. Actually, I'm going to paste all this into the chat, just all in one place. We talked to Nick Charette, Army veteran, about the program. I don't know why I did that, but okay. Veterans Upward Bound. Education certainly will bring you up in life, And, for a lot of us, it can be a difficult thing to navigate, but it's good knowing that not only is there stuff like this here in Massachusetts, but it's also, nationwide in one form or another. So, Nick, I just want to thank you for coming on and talking with us. Ladies and gentlemen, you have his contact information in the chat here. Reach out if you have any questions, and don't wait. Be proactive. Mike, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just wanted Nick to touch, base on, his life in the service, being an MP over at West Point, the beautiful service academy out there, what it was like for him on, just a little bit off of what, just what he does, learn a little bit about Nick the person too.
Oh, geez. Well, I guess the thing I'll say about my service is that 18-month period where it went from Fort Drum, which was very regimented and very mission ready and get ready to deploy. The mission is the mission, to Korea, which is self-explanatory. And then West Point, which was just truly one of the oddest assignment I ever had in the Army, just watching cadets being molded. It was a beautiful place. But that definitely was not the real Army, so to say. It was weird. I'll just leave it at that.
But it's a beautiful base. If anybody ever gets the chance to go up to West Point to catch a game, or even just to drive around the post, if you're in that area of New York, definitely take the chance to go by because it is a beautiful historic campus.
And the museum was incredible. A lot of great Army history in there. If that's something you're into as well.
Awesome. Well, again, it's Wednesday night, hump day. We're at war. We're going through, life. F the stigma. We're stronger together, and we just thank you for being on here. And I believe next week I can say this: we're going to have Bill Moore from Project New Hope on war. And if you are in our community for any time at all, you've heard this name, you've heard about Bill. He has an amazing story as an Air Force veteran. We can't wait to have him. And Nick, we just want to say thanks again for coming on and talking with us, and all the best. Hope to meet you soon in Players.
Absolutely. Thank you both for having me. Let me talk about VUB a little bit, and thank both of you for all the stuff that you do for our vets.
All right. Well, we're at war. This is the end. As Michael, let's say goodbye.
And Travis, you got a release tomorrow, VA podcast?
Oh, yeah, I do. So tomorrow is number 335. I'm with Chris Johnston, who's the VA's head of digital experience. And we talk about how him and his team developed, built, and implemented the VA mobile app on. And see, where's my phone? I'm going to do it here real quick. We've got a minute. So it was a really cool conversation getting to talk with the architect behind the program. So if you, of course not, if you have this app on your phone, I'm talking to the gentleman who helped build that team to make it happen. So really cool. Hope you come back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. and next Wednesday with Bill Moore from Project New Hope.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Bill, for joining late. You still got the material. If you need anything from Nick, feel free to hit him up. Hit up Hellfish Haven or Oscar Mike Radio for any questions afterwards.
F the stigma.